Hey everybody, welcome back to another video. Tonight I want to talk about and share with you guys some of my favorite things that I have collected anime and manga wise over the last few years. Um, I have a fairly extensive collection. I've done a couple videos about it every once in a while here on the channel. I haven't added a ton to it lately, besides that last haul I did like a couple weeks ago was my first one in a while. I'm much newer to collecting manga, so most of this is going to be anime related. And I've only really been collecting since I would say like 2015 or so. But I've really grown in love with like having a collection, stuff like that. I collect a lot of stuff, Yu-Gi-Oh cards, anime, manga. I've always been somebody that likes like physical releases of stuff. So I guess without further ado, I have 5 things, and it's sort of like a top 5, but I mean, I kind of appreciate all of these like almost evenly, maybe like with the exception of like one of the things I'm going to show you. And they all sort of just have like a little bit of a story behind it, or it's just something that I really personally enjoyed. Yeah, let me just start off with something that, sort of cliche for me. If you've been a fan of me for a long time, or maybe you're new, Inuyasha is my favorite anime ever. I realize it is not the best anime ever, but Inuyasha is the reason why I really like the medium. The first one I ever watched. It's why I'm called Miasma and everything. And this is a copy of Final Act Blu-ray, and it's an okay, a pretty good kind of rushed finish to the series. But this copy in particular is signed by a few members of the Sunrise staff. I believe it was one of the producers, and it might be director Yasunao Aoki, if I'm pronouncing that correctly. But the big one is it is signed by Kaoru Wada, who is a famous composer of a lot of anime music. The Alita Battle Angel OVA, D. Gray Man, the original Inuyasha, and the final act, and he's going to be doing Yashahime coming up. A very well-known anime composer. If you've seen Inuyasha, it's got, at least even if you don't really like the series, it's got very beautiful music. Almost every character has a really cool theme to them. He's got a very interesting sort of like style. I love the music in Inuyasha a lot, and it's my favorite anime. And they were at Anime Boston 2 years ago, back when we could have conventions. And they had this whole panel with Sunrise. And back then they actually hinted at doing more stuff in the Inuyasha universe, and I kind of wrote it off as just kind of like them, maybe just sort of like hinting at, joking at it or something, and now we know that we're getting Yashahime, a continuation. But this, I was so happy to get. I got to meet, very briefly, get autographs of Kaoru Wada and some of the Sunrise staff. Unfortunately, I don't read Japanese, so you're going to have to, I guess, at least trust me that these names are what I say they are. I believe one is the director and one is a producer. Those names I remember far less than Kaoru Wada. I was really just excited to meet Kaoru Wada, because that was really cool. And, I nerdily told him that I love the Naraku theme. Did he understand me? I doubt it. But it's okay, because I love the series, and that's all that matters, I guess we'll go from there. Sort of number 4, and this feels weird to sort of like rank these. Now this show is by no means great, just like Inuyasha, but in terms of my collection, I consider this sort of like pivotal, because it is not the first anime that I bought, but the first anime that I put a decent amount of money into, and it's the anime that really got me back into anime. I have the Tokyo Ghoul Collector's Edition, the limited edition, whatever you want to call it. This box set here. I'm not gonna like disassemble the whole thing. On a very old channel, I actually want to put this down. On a very old channel, but I can't put it down. It's a collection vid, Miasma. Come on. Very old video. I have an opening of this on a very old channel that I have sort of kept secret for the most part, because it's just something that I used to do, and I kind of think some of the videos on that channel are sort of cringy at this point, but it was my first attempt at an anime channel. I might regret this, but if you want some laughs, go check out All American Critic, and I will leave it at that. There's definitely the most popular video on that channel is my opening of this, because I actually got this early. I pre-ordered it on just Amazon, I think. I don't even think I was shopping from anything on Right Stuff at that point. Pre-ordered it, and it came like a day or two early before like anybody else was making videos about it or anything. So I got my video up like as soon as I could, on a really like an old camera back then. It was actually in this similar setup that I have now. This PC here didn't even exist. Like where this monitor is right now is where I did the unboxing. It's weird to think about. But yeah, you can check that out, that channel, a little bit if you want some laughs. But continue to watch this channel because it's a lot better in my opinion. But Tokyo Ghoul, not the greatest anime in the world. I really liked it when I first saw it back in 2014 or so. And it was an anime that I had taken a break from the medium for a long time, watched it. It got me sort of reinvigorated to watch more anime and, better anime. But yeah, it holds a spot in my heart. It's also like one of the first, it might be the first show I ever showed to, this is embarrassing sort of, to my dad, who has since gone on to have seen probably 30 to 40 anime at this point with me. I've just showed him recommendations. I'm not super proud that the first one that he watched was Tokyo Ghoul. His favorite is Death Note, by the way. He actually wasn't super into Tokyo Ghoul, which makes sense. I guess he has better starting taste than I did, or restarting taste, I suppose, for me. But it was a bonding. It was our first anime bonding experience together because he saw that I got in this box set in the mail. I was super excited about it. And he was kind of just. He's always been a guy that's super interested in what his kids are into. Love him for that. He even watches some of my vids. I know that. So if you're watching this, Dad, love you, man. Sorry that I made you watch Tokyo Ghoul. Next one, in terms of some money, this is something, and just in terms of collectability, this is something I'm very proud to have. I have Neon Genesis Evangelion. I did have it's a pre-owned box, but it is not the Platinum Edition. It is just the whatever standard perfect collection is what they called this one. They did come out with a Platinum Edition that I believe is technically worth more money than this. It's the original DVDs. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 discs for like a 26 episode show. And I remember that was like the first like big anime investment that I ever made, because that is out of print, and that used to cost like I forgot to look up before this like how much it would be now, but it cost a lot of money back then, and at least what I considered a lot of money. And also a lot of money is the End of Eva, the movie that finishes off the story. And this alone, I know this because I looked this up recently. I think it's still near the same price. I want to say this is like $85 to like $100. I think it's like $85 now. When I got it, it was $100. It was like $98 for me just to get this one movie. But I love this series so much when I was younger, and then when I rewatched it, when I got reinvigorated into anime, I rewatched all of Eva and this movie, and I just had to have it because this movie is so freaking good, and the show is so great, and it is one of the greatest anime of all time. It is an experience that I think everyone needs to enjoy. You don't need to own it for sure. I understand that not everybody can really afford a collection or really wants to have a physical collection. You know, it might not be for everybody. And it's also not really legally streamable. Well, the series is now on Netflix, but that's a whole bag of worms with the new dub that they're doing. Watch Eva, if nothing else. Watch the End of Eva afterward. You need to see this. Don't stop with just the end of the series, because that goes down a weird path. But that was the first one. I remember I didn't even have like a full-time job yet. I had just saved like some summer money and stuff like that, and I was just like, you know what, I'm going to specifically save to buy this anime. And that was one of the first ones that like I genuinely remember doing that for. Now that I actually have a full-time job, and everything. That is definitely more affordable nowadays, but it is still an expensive anime, and I would say probably one of the more expensive singular pieces of anime that I own, specifically like the movie being like, it's just a movie's worth of entertainment for like $100. And that's just a nice little flex that I like to have as an anime fan, is that I own Neon Genesis Evangelion and the End of Evangelion. And because it's, unfortunately quite out of print unless they ever do a Blu-ray release. It's, pretty hard and rare to come by. That is sort of a struggle in this hobby that I've noticed. Coming in at number 2, I guess, is my copy of Now and Then, Here and There. I picked this up from Anime Boston. This is also a pre-owned thing, since the top of it is a little beat up. I did not do that, but it did come a little beat up. It is also signed by Lisa Ortiz, a.k.a. Lala Rue. She plays one of the main characters in this anime, a girl named Lala Rue, who's one of my favorite characters in the series. She's also gone on to... She did, like, Lena Inverse and the Slayers. She's done some work in Pokemon, and a whole bunch of other anime and stuff like that, but her big roles would be Lena and... I think, and then probably most of them for like that and some Pokemon. Karina, I think her name is in Pokemon. But I also know her for this. This is what I consider the most underrated anime of all time. Super dark, super sad. I've talked about this a lot on my channel, but I love this show so much. It's very short. It's only like 12 or 13 episodes or so. This was like $70 when I got it. I'm not sure what it is like right now. I do know it is another thing that's out of print because it's really old and doesn't have a Blu-ray release or anything. It has a really just old DVD release. And I saw one copy of it at Anime Boston years and years ago. I think that was my first Anime Boston, so we're talking 3-4 years ago at this point. And they had one copy of it, and I said, I got to get that because it is a series that I could not get out of my mind for a long time, and it is one of my favorite anime of all time. So I'm really glad that I have it. I don't regret that purchase at all. Another cool experience that I shared with my dad, and I've tried to get other people to watch the series. It's a really good, really cool show. It's a very interesting experience, and I'm just glad to have it on my shelf. It's totally worth the money in my opinion. The last one, and sort of my number one, is my only manga that I have as part of this list. And it is my copy of Volume 1 of Sangatsu no Lion, March Comes in Like a Lion, a Japanese copy. And as you can see, my camera's not going to focus on that super greatly, but it is a Japanese copy. This is straight from Ikebukuro, a manga shop that myself and a friend of mine went to when I went on a vacation to Japan a few years back that I also talked about on my channel here a little bit. Went there for like a week, I believe 8 days rather, or so. And it was awesome. We went to Osaka, we went to Nagano, we went to Tokyo, specifically Ginza, checked out Ikebukuro and Akihabara. Honestly, funnily enough, I kind of liked Ikebukuro a little better than Akihabara. I thought that the shops there were kind of nicer and had more variety. So if you are going to visit Japan, I definitely recommend don't just go to Akihabara if you're consider yourself an otaku or anime fan. Go around Ikebukuro, also really cool. It's not just a cool setting in Durarara. It is a real place that is really cool and has a whole bunch of anime stuff in it. And I picked up this manga. This is not released in English, at least not like in print, to this day. And I don't know if it ever will be licensed in English. I have no idea. It's one of my favorite anime of all time. I have not checked out the manga yet. I really want to. I'm kind of waiting to see if we ever get any more anime. Kind of doubt it. But I love March Comes in Like a Lion. And if nothing else, I wanted at least just a Japanese copy of the manga because the art is still really good. I do like flipping through this. Can't read Japanese, so I can't really read this. But it is Volume 1, and I've seen all 44 episodes in the anime, so I know everything that happens in this manga. I'm just super glad to own this. This is Sangatsu no Lion, Volume 1 in Japanese, literally from Japan. I really brought this back with me. I didn't bring much anime stuff back, so this really means a lot to me in that regard too. And it's a great memento of a fantastic experience in my life. So it's this cool thing where I could look back on a really cool experience that I had, and think about a medium that I love, and specifically a franchise that I adore. So, kind of connects sort of a lot of things there. But thank you guys so much for watching. What are some of your precious anime or manga in your collection? Something that you maybe saved up some money for, something that maybe you want to go after in the future. If you could go to Japan, what is something that you would bring back? Would you maybe go after some of the figures? Would you look for some manga that maybe is not in print here? Maybe some Blu-rays or something like that? What would you try and pick up? I'm very curious about that. Thank you to everybody who supports me on Patreon. If you want to help me there, I'll have a link to that in the description box. If you want to, please consider hitting that subscribe button if you haven't already. But at very least, thank you so much for watching. It really means a lot to me. My name is Miasma, and I'll see you next time.